One Piece on the outside may seem like it's a kid-friendly show, but it's actually dark and downright sad, guys. For better or worse, these are the 10 saddest One Piece facts that will definitely make you shed a tear or two. Don't worry about manga spoilers, I'll only go up till the end of the Wano Arc, so this is an anime-only's friendly video. Let's start off with the fact that we got a Frieren situation on our hands with one of the Straw Hat members. Despite everything that happened with the crew, this character's fate has got to be one of the saddest. I'm talking about Brook. You see, after everything is over, he'll most likely be the only Straw Hat left alive given his Devil Fruit powers, making him unable to die. Just like Frieren, who gotta watch all her friends, loved ones, students, and mentors die before her, at least she's eventually able to pass as well. But Brook may actually have to watch all of his precious friends die and never even get the chance of passing on to the other side to reunite with them and sing Bing Sake together in heaven. There's even one theory that speculates that Brook is the narrator of the whole One Piece story, explaining to the future generations the legendary tale of the Straw Hat Pirates, after he's the last one left. I guess it's the only way to feel less alone to keep their memories alive. Next is the fact that Boa Hancock was force-fed the love fruit by the Celestial Dragons. They literally fed her the fruit because they want to be further entertained by a young beautiful girl. As Boa herself tells Luffy about it in chapter 521, she and her sisters were once slaves of the Celestial Dragons. She mentions that she doesn't even want to think about all the abominable things they did to her. She was fed the fruit when she was just a 12-year-old girl. Oda left this sentence in for us to imagine all the things that happened to Boa, but they couldn't put it in Jump. I can only imagine. Speaking of the Celestial Dragon's cruelty, there's more. There's something we saw during the Levelly arc. In chapter 906, when Shirahoshi and the others, along with the rest of the invitees, enter the Holy Land, the soldiers tell them about the Travelator, a moving floor that you can just step on and get yourself carried to the other end without having to walk. Fukaboshi suggests that they should just take a walk because he has a bad feeling about this, and guys, this is where we see it once again. The true insanity of the celestial overlords who tyrannically rule the One Piece world. The floor doesn't move by itself. It's being moved by humans. Yes, beneath the ground, there is a crazy number of slaves, and they are the ones who are manually moving the ground. It's so dehumanizing that we literally see a slave begging someone to at least kill him. And what makes this especially cruel is how the Celestial Dragons could have simply asked Vegapunk to build an actual automatic floor for them. It would require literally no brain power from the genius, but no, they'd rather have it be peddled by living, breathing humans. Unfortunately, it's actually very common for the citizens of the One Piece world to prefer death over living. For someone who has reached the final stage of helplessness, death becomes the ultimate escape. Now, the particular instance we're talking about didn't make it into the anime, but it was portrayed quite explicitly in chapter 918. Right before Luffy's and the others brought food to Okobore town, the locals were so starved, so helpless, and so devastated that they were on the verge of offing themselves. We see a rope hanging from the ceiling. We even see a lady holding a knife in one hand and her baby in the other. She's about to end it all. The pain of starvation has become simply unbearable. The thing about One Piece is that Oda always makes sure to properly convey the physical and mental suffering of the victims of the world order designed by the world government. He makes sure that we understand that the story isn't about Luffy and his adventure. It's about the entire world of One Piece. Maybe we need a Luffy in our world too, because children shouldn't starve to death. Alright, so we just talked about how children should be able to eat. But what do you think of the one who ate children? Chapter 867 of One Piece is titled Happy Birthday. It's the one where the orphans and Mother Carmel celebrate Big Mom's birthday. They have all prepared a wonderful birthday cake for her, and as expected, Big Mom is delighted. She eats the cake, and she eats. She is so mesmerized by the taste that she doesn't even realize when she stopped eating the cake and started eating her friends. She didn't even realize when she ate Carmel. I mean, Mother Carmel. That was over 6 decades ago, and throughout all of her life, Big Mom never realized what happened to her friends and her beloved mother. this is just genuinely tragic. Did you know that there was an emperor who was feared by the world as the demon who eats children? We're talking about Whitebeard. And yes, that was the world's government's propaganda, but it turns out there is, in fact, an emperor who truly eats children. Now, we have just talked about children starving to death as well as children being eaten, but let's also talk about when someone ate himself to save a child. Anime viewers may be surprised to learn that Sanji's flashback was actually a little different in the manga. In the anime, we were shown that he cut off his leg to escape an anchor's chain, but if you check chapter 57, you'll see that what happened in the manga was very different. Sanji and Zeph were stranded for 85 days. Zeph had given all of his food to Sanji, so how did he survive? Well, he used a rock to sever his own leg and ate it. That's how he survived those 85 days without food. No wonder Toei Animation decided to change that part. One Piece used to be thought of as a kids show after all. Well, there are definitely kids in One Piece, but it is not exactly a kids show, is it? Moving on, let's talk about Sugar's devil fruit. She has probably the cruelest devil fruit we've seen so far in the story. The idea that she can just turn you into a toy and make everyone you ever knew just forget about you is pure evil. She turns you into a toy, and just like that, you no longer exist. Yes, you are still alive and are able to experience things, but as a person, your existence is removed from the world. Imagine that. Fortunately, Luffy and the others freed the people of Dressrosa, but remember the scrap room from chapter 717? This is where broken and rogue toys were dumped by the authorities. What do you think happened to all those broken and dead toys? There is an entire building full of them, and if they return back to humans after the fruit's powers are undone, then they must be rotting and decaying as corpses in that room. Next up, we have something that is going to dispel a popular idea among One Piece fans. We all think that the bearers of the D initial always face death with a smile on their face, or are normally super badass. But as we saw in chapter 762, this isn't always true. Remember, Law's full name is Trafalgar D. Water Law. Naturally, his sister was a D too, but she died a miserable death. Guys, she spent her last days in sheer pain and torture because of the amber head disease. And how did she die? She literally burnt to death in infancy. Their parents died the same day. It is actually quite overwhelming to think of what Law may have actually become if Corazon wasn't there to help him heal. If he had managed to get the fruit himself, he could have very easily become a monster far more dangerous than Doflamingo. Who knows, maybe there's an alternate timeline where Law is an actual surgeon of death? Law is from the D family after all. He could have been a worse Blackbeard. And by the way, since we're on the subject of the D family, it's insane just how much the world government is afraid of their destiny. Even after Roger's death, they were still afraid of his blood. When they realized that he may have left a child behind, the Marines relentlessly killed any infant from any area that Roger may have visited before his death. They raided those areas and killed any child that was born within 10 months of Roger's death. They did not even spare the women who were visibly pregnant. It was a discriminate massacre. Goes to show how far the government is willing to go. If Porcus D. Rogue hadn't kept the baby hidden in her belly for 20 months, both Ace and herself would have been killed. Now, we have Ace's tattoo. It's well known amongst the One Piece community that the cross S on Ace's tattoo represents Sabo, but not everyone knows why it's crossed out. Of course, it's not like Ace is just flashing the fact that his brother is dead. Well, the tattoo has a different meaning. As we learn in the 4th One Piece data book, One Piece Green Secret Pieces, the crossed S is a reference to Sabo's Jolly Roger, and not just his initial. He was carrying on Sabo's dream for him. Ace died without ever finding out that his brother was alive all along.